Off-season wise for the Packers, you replace Aaron Jones with Josh Jacobs. You lose a few offensive linemen. Jonathan Owens signs with the Bears. They replace him with Xavier McKinney, which is, to me, a pretty significant upgrade, even though Owens had a pretty good season a year ago with Green Bay. This whole season, Alex White, more so than what they added what left this offseason, this whole season comes down to one factor, and the betting market kind of is telling you that it comes down to one factor. And that's the guy on the right side of your screen right now. Jordan Love, who at the beginning of last year looked like a perennial mediocre starter, who by the end of the year turned into, hey, this guy might be pretty darn good and could very easily be a top 10 quarterback in this league. Jordan Love is in the top 8 of MVP odds. He's 12-1 at the Superbook. If Jordan Love is that top 8 caliber quarterback, guess what? The Packers are going to be really good again, Alex. And that really, I know it's maybe simplistic because we obviously have defensive factors to look at in a second. But this team goes as Jordan Love goes. It's as simple as that for Green Bay.
I think that's pretty fair. 64% passing completion, 4,159 yards. That was 7th best ending last year. 32 touchdowns. That was the 2nd most. 11 INTs, 11th most. But, I mean, we've got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, really good quarterbacks above him on those INTs as well. It's tough. I need more. I need to see more than just what we did at the end of last year. And I know they finished 6-2 in their last 8 regular season games, and that's where everybody kind of flipped the switch and said, okay, he's really good. They also, very impressive win over Dallas in the wild card game. 48-32 doesn't even explain how uncompetitive that game was. So I understand why people are very high on the Packers. I just think it's gotten a little bit too out of control. People have them winning the Super Bowl.
So looking at Green Bay, just again, other additions as well. I don't know why I forgot to put Jordan Morgan, who they drafted in the first round. He's going to start right away on the offensive line. You look at offensively speaking for Green Bay, we talked about it last year. They were the youngest receiving corps in the NFL a year ago. They still are one of the 5 youngest receiving corps in the National Football League. Christian Watson, we've known, has dealt with injuries in both of his first 2 seasons. If you can get a full season out of Watson, that's a big boost. Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, who really had a big impact in his rookie season last year. Tight end wise, I think they're a little weak at tight end. They did Luke Musgrave again. Let's see how his health is after getting injured a year ago. Running back position, look, I didn't think Aaron Jones was that effective because of injury a year ago. They replaced him with Josh Jacobs, who a thundering runner more so than anything. And they bring back A.J. Dillon. They draft Marshawn Lloyd in the 3rd round as well. So I think that will be a 3-headed running back monster more so than anything. Yeah, I know Adam Stevenage is the offensive coordinator named. This is Matt LaFleur's offense. We know that. He calls the plays. I really do think this offense has the potential to take a step even further than what we saw at the end of last year into a top 5 offense. If they become a top 5 offense, then this race in the NFC North is going to be absolutely outstanding between them and Detroit. And especially if the Bears take the leap that I think they will take forward, boy, we could have 3 double-digit win teams here. We could have a race where 11 wins might not be enough to win the NFC North this year. 12 might not even be enough if Green Bay's offense vaults. Realistically speaking, looking at the schedule, though, Alex, they get that opening night game in Brazil. We talked about that last week with Philadelphia. I think that's a break for Green Bay not having to play that game in Philly, pure neutral in Brazil. But this is the case with this whole division. You draw the AFC South, and you draw the NFC West, which other than San Francisco, and I still think the Rams are good. I think the Seahawks are going to be below average, and Arizona's still a building team. You draw the right divisions for the schedule to rack up wins, and that win total of 10, juice to the under. I think that number's spot on, personally. I think that's where it should be at 10, right exactly.
Finished 9-8 last year, so anticipating a little bit of a jump there. I think it's about right. I would only look to the under here. Looking at some of the numbers, 10th in yards per game last year, 348. Not elite, but in the next category at good. 24% of their offensive drives resulted in touchdowns, right there with the Rams. I'll stay with the offense for now before we go to the defense. Oh, looking at the schedule, though, 14th toughest schedule looking at the win totals of teams that they're playing, and 4th toughest looking at opponents' 2023 win percentage. So, yes, some of it looks a little easy, but majority of it is a pretty tough schedule.
As we talked about last week, we were more looking at, you said win total?
Win total's 14.
The win total's 14. So they're right in the middle.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. Again, it's very hard to go year to year. And I know a lot of people in the past before, and I'll give Warren Sharp some credit here as well. Hey, look at that. Look at that win total thing. Instead, it's a better measure of figuring out what a team's strength of schedule is, which I think is true. I think it's 100% true. Again, for Green Bay, really the key to the whole operation for them. You look at the way the schedule breaks down, that brutal stretch after the bye from week 11 through and I'll throw in week 15, even though I don't think much of Seattle. Still a difficult place to play. At the Bears, the Niners, that is actually, even though it says Sunday Night Football on our screen, that's actually Thanksgiving night against the Dolphins on week 13, flipping around and playing the Lions right after that. So that is a very difficult stretch. But hey, if you get out to a good start, get out 7-2, 6-3, you're in good shape heading into that. Defensively speaking, the biggest thing actually didn't even have to do with.
Really quick to that point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Danny brought it up with another team yesterday, but that might be a way to play this. Wait and see how they do the first through 6 weeks, and because that is a pretty favorable schedule there. And then if they are, 5-1 or 4-2, and that win total goes up, it might be a good time to jump in on the under.
Defensively, Jeff Hafley comes over from Boston College, leaves his head coaching job, now the defensive coordinator. Joe Barry is out. Now, they're watching Green Bay through the years under Joe Barry. He's not a good coordinator. Kind of surprised that he made it as long as he did. Now, the question mark here with Hafley, of course, again, was a defensive coordinator at Ohio State before taking that Boston College job. Has been in the NFL in the past. Was never more than assistant defensive coach. Was with Tampa Bay. Was with Cleveland. Was with San Francisco before the Shanahan era. But really, more so than anything, a lot of people expect a defensive improvement with Barry out. I'm going to take the wait and see approach a little bit, but Green Bay for a large chunk of last season was a below average defense. Just look at some of the game. They got torched by Tampa Bay. They lost to Tommy DeVito because of the Giants' offense on a Monday night earlier in the season last year. They had a lot of bad defensive issues a year ago. They rectified it by the end of the year. They had that big game against Chicago where they shut them down, held them without a touchdown week 18. They played pretty well defensively for the most part against the Niners in their divisional playoff loss. But Alex, this really just will come back to, hey, how does this new defense look? Does Xavier McKinney in the secondary improve it? Does Rashawn Gary take another step forward as he's 40-1 to be defensive player of the year?
It's really tough because you do have a DC who hasn't been in the NFL since 2018. That is a pretty big gap there to go back to college and then back to the NFL. So we'll see what happens. I'm not 100% bought in, as you can tell, but as you mentioned, defense 22nd in yards per game allowed, giving up 345 on average, 13th in points allowed, so that is better, held teams to 21.4. And then right there in the middle here defensively, 21% of their opponent offensive drives resulted in touchdowns. Same right there with the Bears, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and the LA Rams. So, matched the Rams very well on both of those two things, and they kind of finished the year similar as well, right there. Almost, right there. First game in the playoffs for both of them. A lot of unknowns, but also definitely moving in the right direction. And we know this organization has done very well with prepping their quarterback. So they waited a long time for Jordan Love to be ready. He struggled a little bit at the beginning of last year, then looked very good. So I'm not taking that away. I do think he could be a top 10, maybe top 15 quarterback in the league. But still, that win total is just right there at 10.
Green Bay is a playoff team for me. And with Jordan Love, I think takes another step forward. I really do. I think he takes another step forward into being a top 8 guy. I don't know if they make the Super Bowl good. They're going to be a pretty popular pick for people that are going to try to go and fade San Francisco and Detroit in that market.
Yep.
I don't know if they're good enough to win 3 straight playoff games, especially if they have to go on the road to a Detroit or a San Francisco mixed in that run. I like them more than any of the East teams. I can tell you that. I like them more than Philadelphia. I like them more than Dallas. We get the NFC South next week. I know I like them more than any of those teams in that division, but may be an uphill battle in order to go deeper than, hey, where they were a year ago, maybe an NFC title game. I do think them at over $2 to win the division is worth a shot, though. Because if you get any regression from Detroit, they seem to be the team that is the most equipped to win that division. I think that's worth a shot. Wouldn't bet the win total, though, over 10. I think that's spot on, as you said. I would say that's the only thing I'd look at right now. Would look to bet them to win the division title. You get anything north of plus 210, plus 220, I think you're in a good spot there.
To make the playoffs, yes, minus 175.
Yeah, that pricing's right. I'd rather have the division than make the playoffs. There are your odds behind us. Packers plus 210 to win the division. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Parles.
And I'm Alex White. Thank you for watching this clip of Sports by the Book. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe.
We live stream the show right here every day on this channel. Also, you can catch the podcast version on your favorite podcast platform.
All the links are in the description below. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.